So what an absolutely lovely day it is. Finally some real snow close to my home here in Denmark. And I've come out to this moorland heath area. I have never been here before, so I'm basically just walking around trying to find some lone trees where I can take some nice minimalist photos of all these trees in the snow. However, in today's video I just want to discuss a little bit about whether you should use manual focus or autofocus or back bottom focusing when it comes to landscape photography. There is this when you make a video like this, there's always arguments for and against all of it, and there are often seen a lot of these false dichotomies on the internet, like autofocus is better than manual focus or manual is better than autofocus. It is usually presented as an either or problem, whereas it's usually a both and problem. So that's what today's video is all about. So I have found my first composition, which are these two trees here in the background. Now I walked around them just to see what composition is the better, and there are a few different ones I want to photograph. So I will start out with this one. I think it looks really nice. So in regard to focusing, it is quite normal that people just prefer to use manual focusing in landscape photography. I won't say it gives you more control, but if you have a good eyesight and you trust that eyesight and you look on the screen here behind on your camera and trust that screen, then manual focusing is probably fine. So I'll show you how to do that. So the first composition I want is to just take one of the trees. There's quite a lot of wind today, so I have a lot of the snow blowing around and it looks really nice. So compositionally I've just put the tree in like a rule of thirds and it's balanced out by the background trees. In regard to focusing, on most modern cameras these days, when you do manual focusing, the camera will enlarge your screen for you. And that's exactly the same which is happening on my camera. So just look here. So right now I have my composition, but it is out of focus. I'm also in manual focusing, and the only thing I really have to do is simply just to turn my focus ring, and you can see the screen has enlarged. And now I just pull it into focus, which is around there somewhere. When I'm done with that, I can always put the screen out again or zoom even more in to control whether or not I'm in focus. You can also see that the tree is kind of yellow. That is focus peaking. Focus peaking is another tool or extra help you can use. You can turn it on and then you can set the sensitivity within most modern cameras, and then it will just show where focus is in your photo. I will suggest to be a little bit careful about focus peaking. It is not always super precise, so you will need to get your own experience with using focus peaking. But that is basically how to manually focus, and even though manual focus is preferred by many, I definitely prefer autofocusing. Now usually I prefer to use autofocus. It should be said that especially on a day like this, when there is a lot of snow in the air, and if there were a little bit more snow than there is today, manual focus is probably the better choice, because if you are to autofocus, that autofocusing might lock onto the snow in the foreground if I'm to photograph the trees. So in that way manual might be the better choice today. However, there's not that much snow, so I will just show you how I usually do autofocusing. So when it comes to autofocusing, it's also super simple. I use the autofocus mode called Flexible Spot Large. So I actually have, as you can see here, just this little gray square here. And when I push my enlarge button up here, I can simply just zoom in and focus on whatever it is I want to focus on, and then I know it is in focus and I can simply just take the shot. And that is really how simple it is. Flexible spot, move the little joystick to wherever you want to focus, enlarge the screen, focus, and take the picture. Easy peasy. So some of you might ask, where do I put my focus point? And it depends a little on the scene. If it's a big vista shot, I usually just focus on whatever it is I want to have in focus and don't think too much about the foreground if I don't have an immediate foreground. However, I've just come around and found another composition that I really like, and very windy. And usually when I introduce a bit more foreground, I make sure to focus about a third into the scene and try to get an aperture that have everything in focus from front to back. In that way I don't have to start focus stacking. So f11, f16, something like that. And then yeah, about 1/3 into the scene. So as you can see, I have my camera here and then I'm photographing the tree up here. So in this particular case, I would probably put my focus point about here. It looks as if it's midway through the camera and the tree, but it's rather close to the camera. It's probably like a sixth of the way, all the way into the background tree there. So yeah, about here, and that usually does the trick. It is, however, exceptionally important that you check that you have everything in focus afterwards when you are in field, because you cannot fix out of focus areas of your photo afterwards. So make sure you have everything in focus, and if you're in doubt, always take a photo for the foreground and one for the background, so you can always focus stack it if in case you can't catch it all in a single exposure. So ever since I made my focusing video back in the spring, be sure to watch that one. Afterwards there's a bit more information about focusing. I was suggested to try out back bottom focusing. I've always strayed away from it because I usually want to work really fast when I'm out photographing. So I want to have it on autofocus, and then when I really need manual focus, I can just change it on the lens. However, I have kind of gotten used to back bottom focusing, and back bottom focusing, when you press the shutter button, it won't focus. The focusing button is behind on the camera. So in that way you actually combine the best from manual focus and the best from autofocus. So how to turn on back bottom focusing differs from camera to camera, model to model, manufacturer to manufacturer. So you will have to look up your own camera and see how you put it on your own camera. However, on mine, I have installed the back bottom focus on the AEL button. And then when I need to focus, I simply just focus on whatever I want to focus on, press the AEL button, and then it focus, and it is supposed to stay in focus. Then I theoretically don't have to press down the focus button before I need to refocus if I change my composition or change the aperture or something like that. So the workflow is actually more or less the same as when you autofocus. So I have my composition here, which is actually quite nice. I think I prefer this one to the other. And as you can see, I just use my little joystick. I move my little square around here. I know I want to focus on the front tree here, so I simply just enlarge the screen, zoom into that, press my AEL button to focus, and now I know it's in focus. I can either take the shot now by simply just pressing the shutter button, or just zoom out. It doesn't matter what you prefer, but there we go. Generally, if I am out in a situation where I have to refocus a lot, I change my composition a lot, I change my focal length a lot, I change my aperture a lot, then I usually switch off back button focusing and move it back to my shutter button. But generally, if I'm just out on a day like this, chilling around, taking a picture here or there, then I will definitely use back button focusing. Hi guys, so I realized when I came back home that I actually hit the back button focusing instead of the shutter release button in the autofocus section of this video. I was of course supposed to hit the shutter release button to focus, but as you can see, it hardly makes any difference. If you want to know even more about focusing, be sure to watch my video dedicated on how to focus in landscape photography. There is a link in the upper right corner. So I had actually already filmed a outro section to this video, but in the meantime, since I was out filming this, I have passed 100,000 subscribers. So I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you who have been watching along. Better late than never, I guess. More than 4 years. But yeah, you know, like 100,000. It's a little bit of an arbitrary number, and I started out setting all sorts of weird success criteria for this YouTube channel. But I just continued making videos because I really enjoy it. So I hope you get a lot from following along on this channel. And thank you so much for watching along. That was basically it for this video. If you want to learn how I edit my photos, be sure to enroll in my huge post-processing course. I show you everything I know, even how to focus stack, how to blend images, how to edit for getting that pop that I get in my photos, yet at the same time don't over process. Like, it's all about respecting the light. So I give you a lot of tools that you can apply to your own photography, and you can either start to edit like I do, or you can of course just pick and choose whatever works for you. If you want to learn more about composition, be sure to get my ebooks. There are also links to those down in the description. Easy to read, lots of examples. What I get as feedback is that a lot of you are very happy about them. So for those who haven't got them, be sure to get them and check them out or whatever. As always, a huge thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.